Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Pleased to say I'm joined by Jay from Stretford Paddock, and today we're going to be previewing Everton's match away against Manchester United. Jay, thanks for joining me, mate.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always good to chat to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. It's good to chat with some opposition supporters. It's always fun. The only way to start this episode is really to talk about Manchester United's last fixture. Southampton at home, 9-0. What went on with United? Really good. Did the two sending offs affect Southampton? Do you think it was down to just a really good Man United performance? Just want to get your impressions on it.
I mean, it's a culmination of all the three factors you mentioned there. We were on song. United were playing well. Our best attacking players stepped up. And obviously, Southampton, who were pretty decimated by injuries anyway, goal out of 10 men almost from kickoff with the young lad, Jankovic, getting his marching orders after about it. But, you know, that just because you're playing a team that's weakened in the dark 10 men doesn't mean you're going to go and score loads of goals against them, because teams often at Old Trafford sit back and make it difficult. And that's my main worry. But, you know, we were just on fire, basically. You looked at the likes of Cavani, Fernandes, Rashford. All of them stepped up. Martial, who's not had a great season, came on and got a couple of goals. And then, as you just mentioned there, they went down to 9 men, which, you know, helps us sort of kick on and make it a record equaling scoreline. But yeah, it was a great performance by Manchester United. Let's not take anything away from us, because, you know, even a Southampton team that 10 men, I know they've lost 9-0 before, but they've been doing relatively well this season under Hasenhüttl. So you can't say that for granted. You just think, oh, it's just one of those. It was a good performance, and hopefully, you know, I know you won't want to hear it, but hopefully we can build on it when we play your lot.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with United this season, beating us twice already, so you'll be going for the third time. And, you know, really impressed with United so far this season. Obviously lacked a little bit of consistency early on, but, you know, since that sort of dry patch, just absolutely kicked on and, you know, really shown where, you know, anyway, I expect Man United to be, which is towards the top of the league. Obviously, second in the table at the moment. What have you made of the season so far?
For me, I point of view, I think you spoke to me in the summer, or, you know, I think the first time I spoke to you guys this season, I certainly didn't expect us to be, you know, level on points at top of the table halfway through the season or wherever we are. So we've done really well, and you know, I've been really impressed with the job that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done. He's had his critics. Some people think he shouldn't have really been. He's not up to the job, or that he's only got it because of his playing career at Manchester United. But he keeps proving the doubters wrong. You look at the fact that we finished third last season, which I thought was a really positive finish for us. And this season he's kicked on a bit, and he's getting the best out of some of these players as well, and he's handling them in the right way. You know, you look at the way he's handled some of the youngsters, you look at how he's handled the Paul Pogba situation, he's getting the best out of these players. We're sort of, you know, we're right at the top of the table. Are we going to sustain it? Pains me to say it, probably not. Logically, you'd think it's a bit of an ask to finish 33 points off top and then win the league the next season. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching Manchester United. And like you said, it's not all been plain sailing. We've had some bad results. You know, the game against Sheffield United in particular. We've had some pretty under par performances. That line's just gone off, by the way. Some pretty under par performances at Old Trafford in particular. I think at one point we lost 3 out of 4 games at Old Trafford, which was terrible. But by and large, it's been a really good season, and, you know, he's got the place buzzing again. The only downside is really the fans can't be there to watch it.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned there, Old Trafford's always a tough place to go, certainly for Everton recently, not been easy. And you mentioned, obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's impressed me. The doubters were sort of willing him to be sacked at the start of the season, and he's turned it around and he's proven why he's the right man for the job. Obviously, just want you to elaborate a bit more on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What are your thoughts on him and how well he's doing?
I'm a massive Ole fan. I've always backed him as manager. I think that people sort of have this idea, like I said earlier, that he just got given a job because of his playing career. He didn't. He got given a job on a caretaker basis. And then from what he did during his time at caretaker, he earned the full-time job. He earned it permanently because he had that record-breaking run. obviously coming in that win in Paris as well. So the board thought, okay, maybe he's a better long-term option. And it was always going to be a massive rebuild at Manchester United. People underestimated it because we'd finished second under Jose Mourinho. People think, oh, well, United weren't that far off the pace. We were. We finished, for starters, we finished 19 points behind City. The season we finished second. Also, Liverpool got their act together, invested and spent and had improved. And we hadn't spent that summer before Jose got sacked. And we brought in Fred, Diogo Dalot, and a third choice goalkeeper, which isn't going to make you kick on and make up a 19-point gap. So Ollie comes into that. By the time Jose got sacked, Paul Pogba was unhappy, Martial was unhappy. You had lots of players who were out of form. It was a bit of a mess. Lukaku wasn't turning up in a lot of the big games. Alexis Sanchez had been a complete disaster. And Ollie comes in and he does this sort of overhaul, and it takes time. And I think part of the problem for Ollie was because he hit the ground running so well and we won 12 out of our first 14 games. Everyone thinks, oh, that's it, United are fixed. We're okay now. And we weren't. He needed to move some players on. He needed to bring in some of his own players. And he's done that. And there's been gradual improvements. You look at where we finished in his first full season. It wasn't great. I think we finished sixth. Last season, we finished third. At the time of recording this, we're sort of, joint Toffee, I use that, we're second on goal difference. So there is a progression there. And just as a fan point of view, watching football under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a lot better. It's more entertaining. I read a stat somewhere. I think it was in the previous 3 managers post Fergie, we'd scored 5 or more goals, I think 3 times. And we've done it 8 times under Ole. We're playing more attacking football. We are getting, it seems more, we're playing the sort of, I hate to use it because sometimes it can be almost meaningless. But if there is a United way, we're playing it under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when under Louis van Gaal, under Jose Mourinho, and under David Moyes in particular, we weren't playing that way. And I think that, you'll know from an opposition point of view, you probably fear United more now than you did under the previous managers, other than Sir Alex Ferguson, of course, because Ollie seems to have brought that sort of that feeling back to United that we can beat anyone. Yeah,
I think made some great points there, Jay. There's so many. Being the age I am, I'm almost 20. I grew up with the great Manchester United teams. The 2008 team, the Rooney, Ronaldo, Giggs, all those sorts of players, and I genuinely feel this is the most dangerous United team since Ferguson left. I've seen some pretty dire performances from Man United in the last few years, and this season there's so many players who I think have really just taken their own responsibilities, and they've realised what their responsibilities are as a Manchester United player. Scott McTominay, at times, I've just watched this season, I've been really impressed with him. I watched his away at Anfield, the games against Leeds at home as well. So I think United, when they really get going under Ollie, there's a lot of belief in the team. And, at times as well, Paul Pogba's been in good form lately. Cavani seems to be a really good signing as well. So, yeah, there's so many players, I think, who can hurt us. Who would you say has been the player of the season so far? Could you really give it to one person in particular, or do you think it's been more of a team effort and you can't really put it on one player?
Listen, sometimes people, I think, try and overthink it or try and come out with a sort of revisionist opinion or a clever, insightful opinion that no one else has perhaps thought of. But I think it just stares you blatantly obvious in the face that Bruno Fernandes is United's best player I wouldn't say by a country mile, because we've got other good players, but for me, he's the clear player of the season so far for Manchester United. He's been our best player ever since he arrived. If you look at where we were when he arrived, we were 6 points off top 4. We were in 6th. We'd just been beaten at home off Burnley, lost away at Anfield. The fans were sort of like, even people like myself who were sort of pro-Ollie, if you will, and backed him, were sort of think, how much longer has he got in the job here? Because this can't continue. And since then, I think we've taken more points since Bruno arrived than any other team in the league. He's been a phenomenon. You can't sort of underestimate the impacts that he's had, and he's made the players around him better. He's improved them as well. I was there for his debut against Wolves, and he was shouting at players, shouting at them to make those runs. And I thought, this guy is made for Manchester United Football Club. That's what we've missed. Not just someone who's going to do his own job, but he's going to G up those around him and demand sort of perfection. Demand those sort of high standards that we used to have at Old Trafford that perhaps have fallen by the wayside. So Bruno Fernandes for me. We've had some good players. Marcus Rashford's having a good season. I I think Harry Maguire has turned this season around from a sort of patchy start as well. Luke Shaw's been playing well recently. But for me, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, sorry, I should mention him as well. He's sort of, stepped up when we needed him. But Bruno Fernandes, he's the guy that makes us tick. And even when he's not having one of his better games, he's still good for a goal or an assist. The guy's he's just ridiculously good. And I feel fortunate that we've got him.
Yeah. And I've seen him, I think, once or maybe twice live at Goodison, and he always seems to be the dangerous player. And you mentioned there, when I watch him, he reminds me a lot of old Manchester United players. He seems to have that Ferguson determination. I think he's an Alex Ferguson sort of player. He comes in and he immediately grabs the game. He wants to make things happen. He's very hard-working. And I think between Evertonians, we all think he's a good player because he's the sort of player that a lot of Evertonians would like as well. He's got a nasty side to him. He's not a nice guy on the pitch, but he has the quality. So I'd agree with you there. I think the standout player is Bruno Fernandes. And there was a few skeptics, wasn't there, when he came in from Sporting, not knowing if he'd really, similar to Donny van der Beek, isn't it? Not knowing if he'd come straight into the team and, blow it away straight away. But he has seemed to do that. He does seem to be the one Everton are going to look out for, especially with our midfield this season. It's hardly been consistent. So I think he's definitely someone that Manchester United can use to hurt us. Whereabouts do you see yourself finishing at the end of the season? Do you see yourself second? Do you think you can push City or possibly Liverpool for the title?
I mean, you can never say never. And as a football fan, you dare to dream, don't you? You always sort of hope for the best and have that feeling in your heart. Oh, maybe we can do this even when the odds are against your. Logic dictates that you're probably not going to. But I think, if I'm being brutally honest, I think it's going to be difficult for us to finish higher than we finished last season. We finished third last season. And listen, I know Liverpool are having a bad time of it, and I think they've just lost again. I know they just lost at home to Brighton and coming off the back of the Burnley defeat as well. And some of the other defeats they've had and draws lately, they're having a bad spell. City seems to have kicked on though now. They're gathering momentum, which is worrying. But looking at Liverpool, I expect them to improve. I expect them to get back to sort of in and around the best. I know they've got defensive issues, but coming into the season, you expect them to be on sort of 80 plus points. City probably on 90 plus points. So if you had to push me, I think that second place isn't out of the question. I think if Liverpool don't get their act together sooner rather than later, then we've got every chance. But I think it's a bit of an ask for this team to win the title. But listen, I'm a football fan. I'm not saying it can't happen. I think it's very unlikely. So in short answer to your question, I think third is probably the most realistic expectation. But who knows, especially with the way the season's gone so far.
I think this season, Jay, to be honest, it's the most topsy-turvy football season I've ever seen. From start to finish, there's Man United were talking about going on incredible runs, winning games, losing to Sheffield United and then beating Southampton 9-0. We watched Everton last week against Newcastle, put in one of the worst performances I've seen last night against Leeds United. We were absolutely top-notch. So you don't know where anyone's going to finish. And me and you, let's be honest, mate, me and you know better than anyone that Liverpool can turn it on whenever they want to. They always seem to have some sort of thing going for them, and something always seems to turn in their favour at some point. So, you can't really look at Liverpool's results and go, yeah, they're out of it. I don't think you can ever count Liverpool out. City,
unfortunately, you're right, mate. And listen, It'd be. I've seen United win 13 titles. I'm old enough to see. I've seen us win every Premier League title. But if we were to win the title the year after Liverpool waited 30 years to win it, that for me would be one of the best title wins ever, if not the best ever. But like you say, you've hit a nail on the head. You expect them to turn it around. They've still got a very good squad. So I'd be very surprised if they didn't pick themselves up, even with the defensive problems they've got.
Yeah, I think especially the manager Jurgen Klopp as well. He knows how to. I think he's got a bit more up his sleeve than what he's letting on. So for United, I think, and as well, football fans are so fixated on everything has to happen this season and everything has to happen right now. I think for Manchester United, a good season would be finishing comfortably in the top four with a lot of confidence in the squad. Ollie to have a good season and move on to the next one. And, just really cement the place back up there, because there was a time under Mourinho, winning trophies, but sometimes giving in some lazy performances. There's been times when United have fell at hurdles that you wouldn't expect them to, not really showing the United way. But I think for me, from an outsider looking in, for Manchester United, I think I can definitely expect them to finish top four. I think second is going to be where they're going to push for, but obviously it's City and Liverpool, so there's an extra incentive for you to really push on. And what sort of starting lineup can you expect? Do you know of any injury problems United have got? Any suspensions? What sort of team do you expect United to go for?
I think we're more or less at full strength. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think we are. I think, and I think obviously, Everton, you're a good team, good side. There's no room for a margin for error with United here. Now we have to go at it full strength. There's a couple of sort of debatable topics or positions where you might look who's going to go with. I'll give you my team quickly. I think it'll be, but I haven't got any great insight. This is just my opinion. It's not like I know. I think he'll stick with De Gea in goal. I know he has swapped it now and again with Henderson, but not for a league game. I think he'll stick with De Gea. Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. I think he might play Eric Bailly if he's fit. He likes to give him a game at every sort of few games, and I think that him and Maguire is a very good partnership. You have got dangerous players as well. I don't know if he's fit. James Rodriguez. I know that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's broke his little drought against Leeds. So, you've got players that can punish defences, and I think that Maguire and Bailly together is a combination that works well. Luke Shaw at left back. I wouldn't risk Alex Telles in this game. I don't think defensively he's as strong as Luke Shaw is. For the midfield, I'd go with. I'd probably go with something like Matic, Pogba and Bruno. Again, going with a strong midfield because you've got a strong midfield as well. Pogba maybe sitting a little bit deeper with Matic, but Matic staying in front of the defence. Pogba can get forward more. And then a front three. I'd go with Marcus Rashford on the left, Mason Greenwood on the right, and Edinson Cavani up top. I like Anthony Martial, but I think Edinson Cavani now for me has to start every game because he's a fantastic footballer, and the way he brings other players in and also gets important goals as well. It's just great, especially if you look at Anthony Martial, isn't having a good time of it. Yes, he scored a brace against Southampton, which is good because he needed it, but I think he's got 4 Premier League goals this season, which for a player of his ability, he'll be pretty disappointed with, I'd expect. So I think we have to go pretty much full strength, and I think the team that I've named now is almost as strong as we can go, if not strong. Yeah, as strong.
So many players you'd name there who can really hurt us. I've really enjoyed watching Luke Shaw this season. He sort of has a good turnaround, even with Alex Telles coming in as well. I was expecting him to be playing a lot more, but Luke Shaw's been great. I've always been a fan of Harry Maguire as well. I know he's got his critics, but I remember the game last season at Goodison, just before the lockdown, and he was an absolute rock in defence for United for most of that game. I'd be interested to see Pogba and Matic together because I haven't watched too much of Paul Pogba, but I know that he's been, being spoken about as having a bit of a renaissance. He's been playing better. Mason Greenwood, I really love him as a player. Since I first seen him a couple of years back, I think it was, he seems to really have that initiative to just drive forward and do things. You know what I mean? He's not a young player that frustrates you. He's so mature for his age, and I think he can really hurt us. But defensively, we've been looking pretty good in the last few games, and we're definitely more set up to play away from home, Jay. So I'm actually, for one of the first times, I'm a bit more confident going to Old Trafford than to Goodison because, I think that's our fourth away game on the trot. We won last night, so we're doing pretty well away from home. And there's spots I think we can hurt United, but I think we definitely need to watch out for Cavani and Rashford and players like that. Going to be really, really tough. And this obviously is an Everton show. What have you made of Everton so far this season?
You seem to be having a decent season from what I've seen. I think you've suffered a little bit with inconsistency. You obviously had a great start, and then it sort of went a bit sort of pear-shaped, and then you've managed to bounce back. Or from what I've seen, you bounce back. You obviously know better than I do. I think Ancelotti's doing a good job, and I think you've got one of the best managers in world football there. I think you have, and I think it's a good fit. A lot of people were surprised when Ancelotti went to Everton. But I wasn't. I thought it made sense. I think, the club your size and your stature as well and your history.
Yeah, he matches the club perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does, and I think it was a really good fit, and also the fact that he's been backed. I know you've not gone out and spent untold amount of money, but you've bought in some players and some quality players as well. So it's not like he's not had anything to work with. So it made sense to me, that move, and I think it's working from what I've seen. And I've been impressed. I think the difficulty that Everton have got, and I think there's a few teams that have got it. It's breaking into that just the top four sort of bracket, because there's so many teams vying for that. And then you look at City and Liverpool, and they were sort of a bit apart. Now United have sort of ended it, and you've got Leicester, Spurs who aren't having a great time of it, but you'd always fancy if Kane and Son are on song, then they'll be in there. So it's difficult to get into that top four the way it is when you're sort of new to that, if you will. But I think Everton have done well. You have got some real quality players there, and I think if you stick with Ancelotti, give him a bit of time, because, like I said with Ollie earlier, you can't turn these clubs around like that. When you're sort of 30, 40 points off the top, it takes you a couple of years at least, but he's the right man for the job for me. And, when we're going into this game, when we're going into the last game, I think I spoke to you guys ahead of it, I looked at your team and I thought, you said we've got players that can hurt you, and I looked at it and I thought, there's quite a few Everton players there that I'd have at Old Trafford. Now, when I spoke to you guys last season, I think it was, that wasn't the case. There was I think there was Lucas Digne and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, where I was like, those two at the time, I'd have, wasn't many others. Now I look at it and I think there's quite a few players that could do a job at United, and I think, you've improved. And like I said, I'm going into this game a little bit concerned, because you'll talk about your away form. And I think you suited us at Goodison because you came at us, you got at us, and we were able to counter, and we're very good at bouncing back when we got a goal behind, and it sort of played into our hands a little bit. And I think if you shut up shop, it can make it difficult for us. And if you approach a game like that, then we may get frustrated, because yes, we're coming off the back of a 9-0 win, but that doesn't mean you're going to go into the next game and just blow Everton apart. We're a different animal to Southampton. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried, man. It could be a long afternoon.
Yeah, and you mentioned there about going a goal behind. United are quite good at bouncing back. I think that's been our problem, to be honest, Jay, is that we're going into games that we're winning at half time, or we're playing well at half time, and we're coming out in the second half with not as much impetus. We're trying to sit back a little bit too much. So if Man United are going to hurt us badly in any part in the game, it's going to be, for me, the first 20 minutes of the second half. I think Everton have got all the potential to go in 1-0 up at half time, or 2-1, however the game goes. But I think if we're going to do anything, we see it against Newcastle. It was 0-0 at half time. We ended up losing that game 2-0. Leicester, we were 1-0 up, and we drew that game 1-1. And last night against Leeds at Ellen Road, we went in 2-0 up, and the whole second 45 minutes, Leeds had a lot more of the ball, and we looked like conceding, more than one goal. So I think that's where United are going to hurt us. You mentioned there about how you were on last time with Thomas, and you spoke about Everton players that you'd like at Old Trafford. Anyone now? Has your mind changed? Anyone you'd like to see at Old Trafford from the Everton squad?
I mean, listen, sometimes the most obvious one is the one that you go for. And I'm a big fan of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think what I like about him is he's a different type of striker. Probably now we've got Cavani, that's not entirely the case, but he's more like an old-fashioned centre forward, which we were lacking at United. We didn't have one of those. Now Cavani's come in, and he is that type of player, but he's 33 years old. He's not going to be around for forever. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously a young player. I like the fact he's progressed as well. He seems to get better each year. So he's a player definitely take at Old Trafford. And you've got, listen, I like Gomez, I like Decore. You've got one or two others in there as well, who I think Everton, because it's sort of indicative of your position in the league. And, United have had this, and I think any team that's around the sort of just outside the top four obviously suffers with inconsistency. So, you have that. That's the reason you're not at the top of the table ever, is because you've got inconsistency. And I think Everton are one of those teams that they've got the players that can hurt you. It's just whether they do it week in, week out, going into these games, if you turn up and all your players turn up, then it's going to be a difficult game. But no, you've got some good players like the one I mentioned. But the standout for me would be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I really rate him. And, if United could sign him, I'd be happy. I don't think that'll happen, but I think he'd be a longer term option than Edinson Cavani that would work really well.
To be honest, Jay, Made some good players there, but for Evertonians, the player that we've valued the most this season's Ben Godfrey. He's been our best player since October when he made his debut against Liverpool. I think he's only missed one game. I think that was the Newcastle game, which we lost. He just doesn't seem to have a bad game, and I think for me, he'll go down as one of the underrated players in the league, and I expect him to really push on. And for an English centre-back, a big, tall one, can play all across the back four. He hardly has put a foot wrong since coming into the Everton side, and I think he's going to be an important player on Saturday night because United have got a really good front three, and he's an all-out natural defender. So, yeah, I think he's definitely a player United should watch out for. We spoke about Bruno earlier. Who do Everton need to look out for? Would you think Bruno's the one, or do you think there's one particular player who seems to like playing against Everton who could hurt us?
Well, Bruno, obviously, he's I think did he score against you last time out? I can't remember. So I think he
did. Yeah, I think so.
I think he had a good game against you guys, and he's always the one that makes us tick. But Paul Pogba has been playing well recently. Don't forget, he didn't play in the 9-0. So he might have a bit of a point to prove almost, like, because basically, they were giving goals away for fun in that game. And if he'd been on the pitch, he might have fancied getting himself one. So I expect him to come back into the side for this game, as I said earlier. And he might have a bit of a point to prove almost, like, to sort of step up because he's missed out on that fantastic result. So Paul Pogba, who has, bagged a couple of goals in his last, I think he's got 2 in his last sort of 5 games, whatever it is. He scored against Burnley and he scored against Fulham, important goals as well. Marcus Rashford seems to have got back into form. He had a very good game against Liverpool in the FA Cup. His league form had dropped off a little bit, but against Southampton, he got a goal and assist. He only played 45 minutes, but it was a very good 45. I think just 45 minutes, or maybe a bit longer actually. I think it was about 60 minutes, sorry. But he had a very good hour when he did play. So he's someone to be mindful of. Our 2 most productive players are usually Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. But if Paul Pogba starts as well, the form he's been in and the performances he's been putting in, he's definitely a player I think you should keep an eye on.
I think Martial's a dark horse as well. He seems to be a bit of one of our bogey players. He likes scoring against us.
I always remember the semi-final. I don't want to rub salt in the wound.
Don't remind me, mate. I was there.
Sorry. Mate, sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up, but yeah, that was one of my best moments at post-Fergie. So yeah, I can understand why you fear him. Like I said, I don't know if he'll start. He might get a game, but I just feel at the minute, Edinson Cavani for me. I mean, he might do. I mean, listen, if Anthony Martial starts, I don't think many United fans, say that. Some will. But I think it might be Edinson Cavani who starts the game.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, we like to end these opposition ones with a question completely off topic. We've had a couple of suggestions. Jay, we've been asked to ask you what your favourite chocolate bar is. You got a favourite?
My favourite chocolate bar, right? I'm so boring. I'm so beige. Forgive me, man. It's like, I think it's Whisper.
Oh, honestly. Whisper's underrated, yeah. Completely underrated.
It is. You might have, do you know what, mate? You might have asked me this before and I can't remember. I'll give you a different answer. But yeah, today it's Whisper. I'm all about the Whispers.
Whispers, crunchies, twirls, anything like that.
Now you're talking my language there. I'll have all of them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And yeah, we'll end it there, mate. Thanks for coming on and chatting to us. It's always a pleasure. Good to chat to the opposition supporters as well. It's nice to get a view from the other side. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the Toffee Blues channel. Obviously, go check Jay out, Stretford Paddock, and see what they're up to. If you're interested in any sort of football content, Jay is very much in the know. Jay, thanks for coming on and chatting to me, mate.
Anytime, Stephen. Always good to chat to you guys. And other than this weekend, I wish you all the best.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. And good luck for the rest of the season, mate. Hopefully, we can see United back to the best. But yeah, obviously, as I said, if you have enjoyed it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the Toffee Blues, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.